we need to talk about how controversial the ending of the game Class of '09, the Flipside, is. Like, why is it so controversial? Why does nobody like it? And what is with the creator SBN3 and his drama? Because there was a lot. If you don't know what Class of '09 is, Class of '09 is a trilogy of games in the visual novel style that is a social commentary that focuses on what school was like, specifically high school was like in 2009. A lot of 90s kids and 2000s kids can relate to the game because majority of the experiences and attitudes in the game happen to them. I, for one, can relate. Some of the stuff in the game is definitely not as outdated as people may think. And a lot of fans, especially younger fans, can agree now that this is basically how high schoolers act and how high schoolers talk. It's not completely exaggerated. There's a lot of dark humor and dark jokes written within social commentary on what being a high schooler was like in 2009, especially in a rich, upper middle class high school in America. First two games, you follow Nicole, who is basically a sociopath. It is a new girl at school and she's going through her junior and senior year just trying to survive. Recently a new game was released. It's called The Flipside, and it's apparently the last game in the trilogy of Class of '09. And this game focuses on Nicole's best friend, Jekka, and her side of the story. Now, a lot of people are very upset about how the Flipside is portrayed. They're upset about the endings, they're upset about the character development, they're upset about just how Jekka was treated in the game. I mean, like, oh my god. People are mostly upset about, one, the game's length. It was just way too short. In the last two games for Nicole, she got a multitude of choices and tons of different endings. Her endings went from horrible, awful, her dying, to her having her redemption. In the flip side, however, for Jekka, she does not get any happy endings. There's not enough choices for her in the game. There's especially not enough endings for her. In total, there are 5 endings, and in those 5 endings, none of them are remotely happy. These endings are: she kills somebody, she kills somebody, she gets sold into human trafficking and slavery, she either kills herself, or her best friend Nicole kills herself. Out of these 5 endings, only one is happy, and that is if she kills somebody. Second, and the most pressing that I'm seeing in the fandom, is the fetishy stuff. Ugh. I'm gonna go on a whim here and say that this fetishy stuff for Jekka was definitely not out of left field. In some of the previous games, you can clearly see that she's easily persuaded to do very extreme things. So, her doing this foot fetish is not surprising, but a lot of fans are upset with it, and I understand why, because this is apparently one of the only major routes you can take in the game. A lot of fans were just basically uncomfortable with it. A lot of people said they were disgusted with it. And 3, a lot of people feel like this game is very cruel and dark compared to the others. This game is not as funny as the last 2 games. While a lot of people do like the dark humor that the game portrays, this one was apparently so dark that there was just no room to laugh with the game. Class of '09 is very dark. There are some endings in the last 2 games that are very, very traumatizing, but for Jekka, it is especially dark because it's just one of those things where she does not get a break throughout the game. Where we could feel like we could laugh with Nicole and give her the option to like have a safe choice, Jekka never really gets that choice. We don't get to choose that for her in the game. A lot of people think this isn't justified towards Jekka, what she goes through in the game, and how she doesn't deserve it compared to Nicole, who literally does worse things than her. And I understand where fans are coming from, because in the game, you genuinely feel like Jekka has been trapped and she has no choice. She's facing abuse at home from her dad, she's going through a parental divorce, she's being forced to work, and she takes the most drastic measures when it comes to working. She's either A, gonna go into the foot fetish industry, or B, work and either become an alcoholic or worse. Or there's the route where she has an unfortunate relationship with her teacher. And through all these, the outcomes are just not happy at all. A lot of fans feel like Jekka doesn't deserve any of the outcomes that happens to her, or anything that happens in the game. When there's Nicole, who proves to be a much worse person, especially when you're not looking at things through her perspective. Not only did Jekka not get her happy endings, a lot of the storyline in general was uncohesive, not player choice friendly. And finally, the last one, the drama with SBN3. On top of all of this, somebody decided to expose the creator by posting on Reddit about doing an AMA about how they were friends with them in the past, and how allegedly he was a bully to kids, specifically kids with mental health disorders. And a lot of the things that he bullied kids for and was controversial for is basically implemented in the game. You got people saying he's like a mix of Nicole and Jeffrey. People are starting to piece together, allegedly, that SBN3's thoughts and opinions are basically projected onto each and every single character of the game. You can find more about this on the subreddit of Class of 09. Hopefully the post will still be up. But that's an entire drama on its own. People aren't even upset about the creator, they're just more upset about how the game ended. So a lot of people are praying that the anime of Class of 09 will actually provide a better ending for the whole series, if that anime ever gets released. Personally, in my opinion, and this is my honest opinion, I think the game is suffering from what Call of Duty fans would say is a Modern Warfare 3 game. A lot of people had high hopes and expectations for it, and then it turned out to be a disappointing flop. In terms of the outcome of the game, I personally think that the characters were a little more well written and developed, especially for Jekka, somebody who we don't really get to see on a personal side. We learn more about her through this game, how she's suffering from abusive and dysfunctional family problems, and she's so emotionally unstable that she has a drug addiction problem to the point where she just wants to relax and not feel a thing. Flipside did not focus on other characters, unfortunately, and that is another issue that fans had a problem with. The game does a good job in portraying how someone like Jekka would react if she were pinned against the wall, like she is in the game. How she reacts throughout the game is not surprising, especially to her character. You get to see Nicole in a more sinister light, because we don't get to see her inner thoughts. She actually proves to be more of a horrible person through the flip side. The game is unfortunately short. We don't get a lot of choices, and there's a lot of questionable decision making that we need to make. Like, is it really necessary to have her go down the foot fetish route? I mean, why is that one of the only major options? We don't get a lot of choices. There's a lack of choices, which leads to a lack of endings, more endings, which waters down the game significantly. Minus the drama of what's going on with the creator, there is a chance for the flip side to be improved with more endings, more choices, more redemption for Jekka, and also other characters. Or, you know, we could just wait until the anime and pray that it ever comes out.